Dollman? Did I tell you to tell everybody in the neighborhood that we have a spaceman living in our house? Don't you think we have enough problems?
But, Mom, what's the fun of having an alien if you can't show it off?
Welcome to Second Class Cinema, the show where we watch a B movie and immediately discuss. I'm Tom. I'm here with Eric, Brittany, and Brian Party.
Hello.
Brian. Hey, Brian. Welcome back. You were on for the Home Sweet Home YouTube exclusive episode.
Yes. Welcome to the big times, champ.
Welcome to a movie that wasn't awful.
Yeah.
Right? It's true, and you could see it.
So how's everyone doing? Doing good?
I'm doing great.
Doing good.
Because I just watched Dollman.
We did. We just watched Dollman. But before we dive into Dollman, let's ask Brian, what's your relationship with B movies, man?
B movies? Well, young age, probably around 10. Father went to bed, left TV on. Night of the Living Dead came on. The remake, 1990s with Tony Todd.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, it was a terrible movie, but I loved it. And,
I still love it.
You know, my parents went to bed. I just turned on the TV and watched them all the time. I've seen a bunch of hundreds and the hundreds of.
Would you say thousands?
Yeah, I would say so.
It's amazing because
when I
whenever
was younger, we had Cinemax and Showtime and not Stars, and stuff like that. And in late night, they used to play these all the time. The early '90s, either B movie, horror movies or whatever. I used to be glued to the television. I used to just to watch them, stay up to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I did this. Almost every day. I used to watch movies all the time. People go out and party. I used to watch movies.
I know that game.
Right. And my connection is I actually prefer a low-budget film to watch something like that or something that's corny and cheesy because a lot of times the mainstream media and stuff like that, that's why you get a lot of flops because they tell you it's going to be good, but it really isn't. And
leaves a lot to be desired.
You go in, you buy the cheap discount movies and you watch them, and they're more entertaining.
Totally.
You're right, and they cost less. So,
Of course.
It's like they had to try harder.
Yeah.
But
you're more in line for a pleasant surprise this way.
right. And I like all types of movies, so it doesn't matter what it is. And that's basically my relationship.
Perfect, man.
It's funny that we mentioned that as the positives of a B movie because this movie probably cost us approximately 20 cents.
We broke it down. 20 cents.
20 cents for this, and this was a complete dice roll because there was another movie on the same DVD, which was the worst thing we've ever seen.
Was it a $1 DVD?
So far.
No, this was
Was this
an
a 20-pack?
eight movie pack.
8 movie pack, okay. We watched The Dead of Winter on New Year's. And then
New Year's Day,
yep. And it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. This movie posits that if you're a cop, your wife buys you a bulletproof vest. That doesn't make any sense. So then after that, we were so disgusted, but there was another movie on the same menu called Dollman, which we watched it, and we were very pleasantly surprised because we didn't know what to expect. And we had a blast. So, we let it simmer for a little bit, and we decided to revisit it today, 2 months later.
I had never even heard of this before we watched it. And the title alone made me think that it was going to be like a Puppet Master, like doll graveyard.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like a
that
doll
type
graveyard
of cheesy
type of thing.
like thing. Some creepy dude who makes like haunted dolls.
That's totally my vibe.
I am so glad that's not what it was.
So this was your pick, Eric.
Yes.
So was that was pretty much the summation of the why we watched it. So why don't you dive into what it's about?
Okay, so Dollman begins on planet Arcturus, which is 10,000 light years from Earth.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. That's nice and far.
Mm-hmm. Very far. Far too far. Very far. For anything from Arcturus to end up on Earth. I can't possibly see that happening.
No, definitely not.
So we're introduced to Brick Bardo, a hotshot detective. He's a little bit of a loose cannon, kind of a badass. He's played by Tim Thomerson, a kind of middle-aged badass character actor. He kind of reminds me of like the kind of guy they would find for a leading role before like 1980. Like like before Leslie Nielsen became a clown, that was Leslie Nielsen. He was kind of like a
Charles Bronson.
Yeah, like a wrinkled hard ass. Yeah, he probably served in the Korean War. He needs some money. He's going to be in some movies. Okay?
Can you be wrinkled and
I
hard?
was going to say that's kind of an oxymoron. Wrinkled hard ass.
Dirt on it.
yeah, exactly, that kind of character. before the Stallones and the Schwarzeneggers became huge.
The Venturas.
The who?
Jesse Ventura.
Oh, of course. How could I forget Ventura?
Of all.
So we're introduced to this Brick Bardo character. He solves a hostage situation at a laundromat by doing his laundry.
This is yeah. Okay.
And eventually he runs afoul of like a super space villain who he has blown all the limbs off of. He's just a floating head. I'm still not sure if his name is Scrood or Sprug.
I think it's Scrooge.
Scrooge McDuck.
I think he did mention when he was listing his crimes. He was like, "You ruined Christmas almost."
I'm pretty sure I heard that too.
So there's a little bit of a showdown between Brick and Scrood. They end up in some sort of spaceship chase. There's
A chase ship?
Yeah, exactly.
Space
a chase ship.
chase.
Oh, that's better. That's way better.
It's a space chase. All right.
All right, there it is.
All right. So they're in a high-flying space chase, and they some of the equipment malfunctions, and both of them end up on planet Earth.
Crash land on Earth.
Crash land on Earth. Yep.
New
South
York.
Bronx.
South Bronx.
Yes. And it turns out that the people of Arcturus are 1/6 the size of the people of Earth. Now, this is where we did not expect the movie to go when we started watching it.
Didn't expect that kind of Dollman.
No.
I mean, they were
That makes
very
sense.
literal.
He'd have to be an alien to be a doll man.
Yeah, I love that
Or
he just
cursed.
happens to come from a planet that's 10,000 light years from Earth, where
similar.
it's also humans, but they're just 1/6 the size of regular humans.
They both kind of look similar.
The
South
only
Bronx.
distinction.
They both speak English.
That's true.
They both call each other motherfuckers. There's a woman in the Bronx who is like part of this community watch program. She's kind of a badass. Her name is Debi. She runs afoul of this gang led by a dude named Braxton.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Both Dollman and the villain Scrood are witness to an encounter between Braxton and Debi. And it turns out that Brick Bardo is carrying the most powerful handgun in the universe, and it is capable of mortally wounding even humans on Earth.
What is it called again?
It is called the Kroger Blaster.
What is it?
Kroger Blaster?
Kroger Blaster.
Kroger Blaster.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it just looks like a giant handgun.
This sounds like the best toy I never got to play with. All right, so is that...
That gun was awesome.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, I think that's a decent summation of the plot, and we kind of just move forward from there. So, let's transition to what this movie did wrong.
Wrong.
Oh yeah, let's start with the low end
Switch
parts
up
of this
a little
movie.
bit?
Yeah, let's start with the low
like
end
it.
parts and
That's
build
fair.
up.
The green screen effects in this movie are terrible.
Okay.
They don't look good at all. They're very. It doesn't seem like they had the budget to correctly do them, and you can really see the seams, and it's kind of blurry whenever they use them, which is unfortunate because one of the successes, I would say, is how they sell this guy as being a tiny man. But and the shots where they had to green screen him in, which are kind of few and far in between, they don't look very good.
Yeah, I had effects on my positive list, but everything that was green screen did look terrible.
Yeah.
But like all the little gadgets were really cool.
Yeah.
And like the explosive effects were really cool, but the green screen was awful.
I don't know. It wasn't that bad though, because it was like 91.
That's true. You know what? I would have to see another
You know-
91 movie to give it a fair shake.
I mean, it's a little shaky, but it totally skates. I give it the pass.
Okay. Yeah, I might be cheated by how good green screen is now.
That's true.
It's
Definitely cheated. I did see it was kind of blurry, but I agree with Tom. I thought the effects were pretty good for 1991. Was it?
I believe it's 91.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was. You're right. Being spoiled nowadays, but overall, I didn't think it was terrible. I mean, some parts were like, but
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta
shaky.
admit, I'm stretching because I love this movie.
Yeah, I mean
get there.
that's why we'll do. That's why we started out with the shortcomings.
I have a couple of beefs with this movie.
All right, lay your beefs on the table.
All right.
Slang your beef.
Sling that beef.
Beef slam.
Slay.
All right, so unnecessary scenes. Some of the beginning I was going to say was a negative for me because I felt like they stretched out that first 20 minutes a little too much.
Oh no, it's
establishing his badassery. But in retrospect, I nixed that and I don't think that anymore.
Nice.
But there were scenes like Debbie's job and like her encountering people and like talking to them on the bus. I thought that was unnecessary because as short as this movie was,
73 minutes.
Yeah,
of
and as
content.
fast as a lot of it blew by, there were some inexplicably draggy parts.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was one of the things that contributed to that. Like Debi's job, all the stuff with like the gang. Nobody ever talked about anything worthwhile there, at all.
It was pretty much just to set up the exchanges between Braxton and Screwed. That's about it.
Exactly.
The rest of it was useless.
And that happened like one time, and then rage took hold. The fact that Jackie Earle Haley does not believe his lackey about Dollman after he just
already
picked up a tiny alien head and like brought it back with him, and he's like, "Yeah, tiny man, keep drinking."
Whatever.
I know. I was kind of annoyed by that. I was like, dude, you just brought an alien home.
Yeah, there was a lot of little things like that in this movie that kind of made me question it. I was like, why are you like, you've already established that this is like okay in this world, then why are you going back and questioning it? Like the fact that the bomb at the end did nothing. It like literally did nothing. He's like, everything within like 6 parsecs, which is like an astronomical amount of space, is going to be like destroyed. And then it like blew up a warehouse, and that's it.
Like a transdimensional bomb is apparently an orange filter on the camera.
Right.
I was like, this had no consequence at all.
But no, the big hole in this movie was the plot. Like, what was the point of this movie? It was hard to, all it was him going to Earth, and he's dealing with. Was he a small time drug guy? I don't know, because they had a lot of guns and stuff, and they were in a. What I had a big problem was their shooting, the lack of aim in this movie.
Oh, that's one of my favorite parts.
Well, you look at them; they're in the. They look like they're in the desert because it looks like an abandoned place. They got the machine guns and stuff like that. Why don't you put a bottle up and shoot at it? The Dollman's like the same size as the bottle. So they're sitting there standing
weird.
around. Like, why don't you target practice or whatever? Jackie Earle Haley, oh my God! Like when he was chasing Debi, he was shooting her right in front of her, and he didn't even graze her.
I didn't even realize that it was like the desert, but it's like
It looked like it was.
In the middle of New York.
Bronx.
Question it. I was like, oh, okay.
It's like a post-apocalyptic thing, you know?
Like it was like I just thought, like what was the point of this movie?
Well, on top of the whole gun thing, I had on here that everyone had the infinite ammo cheat on because
right,
because everyone just endlessly shot in every direction they absolutely wanted to with no consequence of ammunition.
The director enabled it and left it on.
But yeah, I guess the ultimate what the hell was this even about?
Right,
Yeah.
it could have. I mean, the movie was awesome.
It's about Dollman,
right?
I think the issue is that this movie sets up a big scope and then it drastically reduces the size of it to the Bronx with these.
That's a good point.
With these small time gang members. When it sets up like this big intergalactic, like this is something that's taking place on this weird cyberpunk planet, where everything is orange and laundromats are filled with fat people that are just asking to be shot, and then you end up in the Bronx where it's like this very small like Latin community where there's just like a gang and they're causing problems for the community there.
Yes.
That's about it.
Well,
To ride on the coattails of that, I feel like this movie, he didn't have to be tiny. for this movie to work. I wrote down the only reason he's small is to sneak past bad guys. That's the only reason he's small. He didn't have to be an alien either. This movie could have still worked if he wasn't an alien or like 6 inches tall.
He was small because his attitude was big.
I was gonna say so they could just work in all of those little small puns. Just
But really think about it.
Definitely.
Like,
Get ahead.
nothing
Yeah.
else supernatural really happened except for like that little tiny head dude.
Which was his death was very disappointing.
See, I have that under my favorate part.
Yeah.
We can get to that
All right,
after.
look at
Maybe
that.
just because I hate him so much.
Right, yeah, like why was he even in the
See him
movie?
go.
Apparently on what is it, planet Tauros?
Australia.
He's from Australia.
Apparently it's hard to kill them because they're running around with, like when he shot the guy in the beginning.
He's just like a torso smoking a
and
cigarette.
And you go to the South Bronx, you shoot the guy in the stomach and he dies. You shoot him with a tiny gun and it just rips through anything.
It is a Kroger blaster.
Yeah, we'll say that. And Arturo's.
Who is Kroger?
I have one more beef with this regarding the gun.
All right,
What
beef.
the fuck was his inexplicable hand gun magnet?
It's his gun.
Like, they never touched on that. Like, why?
It's his gun.
No. I'm not buying
Brittany,
it.
it belongs
I buy
to
it.
him.
It's his gun.
Yeah.
It's like no one can have that gun but him.
Brittany, if
So-
you own a gun, you can just hold your hand up and it flies across the
Well, you
room.
got to get your blue light installed first.
So
that costs
anytime anyone knocks the gun out of Dollman's hand, he just puts his palm up and a blue light appears on his palm and his gun comes flying back to him.
I mean, it only
And
happened
it
twice.
makes no fucking sense.
Well, that and how was Jackie Earle Haley going to shoot him? Like, how's he going to pull it?
He's holding. Like, I was gonna say, he's got a little tiny gun. How the hell is he pulling that trigger? I
Fat
thought the
finger.
same thing.
He seemed like a little kid, but he did it too. He's very menacing. You like it? Oh, one-liner coming up.
Oh, that's good. Any more failures, guys?
I had a lot of beefs with this movie.
I really hated Kevin.
Kevin was the little kid, right?
Yeah.
It was Debbie's son.
Yeah, Debbie's son, and I get why he was in there. I don't think he was necessary. I have a beef with child actors in general. I feel like they usually detract me from the movie. I'm like,
You have beef for them?
I'm here for
beef.
an
I
action
have beef
film.
for them. Okay.
we got lots
Hamburger
of beef
patties?
this episode.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, we got to get the beefs out of the way.
It's what's
All right, well, I have a beef, guys.
What's
if
your
you,
beef?
if you wouldn't mind me beefing up.
beef it.
Sometimes this movie had one of those Saturday afternoon fantasy show vibes going on. Mm-hmm. You know, like a Hercules, like a Xena,
Yeah.
I can buy it.
that kind of thing going on. Felt like that a little bit every so often.
It did seem
agree.
like something I might catch like on a Sunday afternoon in 1995 on TV.
Any more beefs before we move on?
I think I have aired my beef.
Yeah, I touched up with the plot.
Our beefs are aired? All right, let's transition from beef to pork, guys.
Let's book it.
Let's pork, man.
All
What's,
right, I
what's,
got a-
what's the bacon in this movie, guys?
I
Give
got
me
a
the
pork
bacon
for you. The acting is surprisingly good in this movie. Brick Bardo is Tim Thomason as Brick Bardo. Nothing complicated, but like he's a good action guy. Debi is actually surprisingly good.
Yeah.
She is a badass. But
It's
at
true.
the
When
same
she
time,
kicked the shit out of that dude at the beginning, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, get it.
A dope dealer.
I totally believed her as being like just like a kick-ass chick that's going to not take any more shit in the neighborhood. But at the same time, she could deliver like good monologues, and she interacted well with Tim Thomerson.
Yeah, who may or may not have even been in the room, right?
Yeah, that's the thing, because if you think about the logistics of this movie, Brick Bardo can't be in the same room as anyone else in the movie. So like there are scenes where he and Debi are speaking, and there's no way they would have been in the same room, yet there still sounds a very natural conversation.
Yeah.
I give them a lot of credit for that, because a lot of the time when you have these movies where two people are supposed to be in the same room and they definitely aren't, the acting is atrocious.
Yeah.
I might be thinking purely of Godfrey Ho movies, but I mean, you know.
So wooden.
Anything else?
The
More bacon.
effects, as we mentioned, were pretty good.
Yeah, I would say the planet of Arturos was spectacularly done for what I'm assuming was a collection of miniatures and studio space. You know, I thought that went a long way, and they did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah. His spaceship was pretty cool. The little.
I'd want one.
I was like a Dollman. I would totally want one.
Oh, definitely. I want to play with this.
The little head guy was creepy.
Oh yeah, he was
Tiny
gross.
head.
No,
Just like a tiny head on a hoverboard.
I did like when she was running and he made he made sound effects when he was moving. He made you actually believe that he was getting roughed around in there.
Yeah, they took
Because she's
time.
picking it up and shaking it and running around, and he could have been. That scene could have been silent. He didn't have to say anything. I think
Yeah.
there was more to it. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah,
That was a nice little touch.
they
Yeah,
like
definitely.
sped up the footage on the inside when he was getting all shaken up and stuff. It was great.
I loved the exploding bodies at the beginning of this movie.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
That is when we were sold on this movie the first time we watched it. I remember. We were like, what?
That was awesome.
Like over the top sacks of meat just getting blown to smithereens.
Complete insanity. And there's the reason we were so surprised by that is like he just has like a regular handgun, and he just kind of like half-assedly shoots it. Like he never gives
he's
a
so
shit when
casual.
He's so casual with his murder. And he like just takes two shots at this guy, and he just explodes into a pile of like meat and like jibs.
Jibs.
Well, you know, he had really good aim on his home planet, and he had terrible aim on Earth. Because I felt like all he just did was hold the trigger down.
With a gun like that, you don't need aim.
That is true. You just kind of shoot till you hit.
Exactly. Poor coffee table or whatever you shot earlier.
Yeah.
Trying to kill a cockroach.
The cockroach. Which I thought was interesting because the mouse didn't want to fuck with him.
Oh, he heard about the cockroach.
There was a mouse, and he pulled the gun out. What would you do, your mouse? I'm going to chase. What is this? I was kind of sad didn't explode, but
One of the things I really liked about this movie was his theme. Like he had like his own little jam session every time he was doing something or he was the focus of the movie.
Oh, I don't even realize. I
Yeah.
didn't realize.
Oh yeah, he had his own little thing going on. The music overall was pretty funky and cool, and it was very comedic, and it lent to the kind of strange aspect of this movie, but yeah, his theme was awesome. It was like kind of jazzy,
That
kinda,
cool little
groovy.
bass line.
Yeah, nice little bass line.
I loved his talking shit about laundry lines at the beginning. Not that was a strength. I mean, I guess that would be more of like a favorite part, but
Yeah, the one-liners in this movie as a whole have been pretty awesome.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like this movie's built for one-liners and puns, and they deliver on one-liners and puns.
Jackie Earl Haley was a plus of this movie.
He was really good.
I
Yeah,
feel like he's good in everything.
I almost wonder if like this entire movie was cast by like up and comers or like currently goers, like people that were like on their way to further success or people that were kind of like on their way out from Hollywood.
Interesting.
Because most of the acting is pretty serviceable, or at the very least. And he's no exception.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were trying to find like, I mean, very quickly, you know, how much this movie cost to make. You know,
Couldn't find it anyway.
I mean, we didn't really look that hard, but you know, I was very curious what the budget was, what they were able to pull off with that budget, because the front end seemed very heavy loaded.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of special effects, a lot of set design and stuff like that. Like you were saying, you know, there was a lot of exterior stuff, the South Bronx area.
Yep.
You know, so I'd be curious to see what the budget was and see what they got away with, and then I'd like to see how much this movie earned.
Well, I Googled it, and it wasn't on the first page of Google, and
So
we all
it's
know
not
that
there.
nobody ventures beyond the first page.
Why
so-
would you bother?
No,
Unless you're
exactly. If it's not on the first page, it doesn't fucking exist.
Definitely. It fulfilled your action needs. I mean, it had the storyline to it pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, you like the characters. The good character development with Brick Bardo and Debi. They were very similar because they were both tough. And you've seen him fight in the beginning of the movie, and then you see her take shit from nobody.
Yeah.
and beating people up with weapons. She didn't care.
I know, with, like, bricks.
They kind of like each other, and they feel he's definitely an asshole. You know, like
He's a hard ass.
But he gets in touch. You know, you can tell he obviously he goes and he kills a bunch of drug guys to save her.
Yeah.
And they only know each other for I don't know how many. What the span was in this movie? How many days was this movie? Like
Yeah,
3
yeah, a
days.
day or two.
Like,
yeah.
it's like, like what happens next? That's what I would like to know.
Well, obviously, Dollman versus Toys.
Demonic
Oh,
toys.
yeah.
Demonic.
I want to
right,
see
right.
that.
And I'm not entirely sure how that fit in.
It's non-canon.
How it fits into the Dollman universe? I have no idea.
I just know there's another movie with Dollman in it, and I've seen it and I don't remember it.
Oh, I know. I gotta
I've
check
seen
that
the
one out.
Does the
Demonic Toys.
same guy play Dollman?
Yeah, Tim.
Tim Thomerson.
Well, that's another thing. I don't think this movie would have worked too much if Tim Thomerson was not in this movie. I thought he gave me get my attention. I mean, he had the cool, get the fuck away from me kind of vibe. And, he called Debi. He called Debi by her name, but he also called her lady, and he called her hey, fat kid.
Yeah.
That's right, fat boy.
Fucking puke. You know, he always
Why don't
insulted
you pick
everybody.
on someone your own size?
And
you
that was
fucking
cool.
Puke.
I mean,
That was one of my favorite parts.
You could write the lines for another actor, but I thought he fit very well in that role.
Yeah, he totally nailed it.
It almost seems like he wrote the role for himself. Like,
Do you think he just
Thomerson.
showed up like, yo,
I'm Tim
Brick
Thomerson.
Bardo?
Yeah.
Badass old man.
The first telltale sign that I knew I was going to love this movie was the fact that his name is Brick Bardo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question, real quick. What is Brick short for?
Brickard.
Brixton.
Bricklin.
Richard.
Britchard?
Richard Bardo. That's I
Bricky
like that.
Bricky Bardo. Oh, terrible.
Oh, Bricky. Love it. All right.
Bardo.
Bricky Martin.
Oh, Jesus.
Wait a minute.
Do we have any risks on this movie? Do you think this movie took any?
Stereotyped Latinos.
Well, is that a risk for 91?
I'm not,
Or is that just like kind of, here's what gangs are like?
Yeah. It had a very, like, old white man just imagining what the streets might be like.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe to it.
well, the way I see is the henchman that said, "Oh fuck," and he got blown away. The guy drinking, he had obviously the thick Mexican accent.
Yeah.
And when she was on the bus, she was talking to a lady. She also had a thick Mexican, like a Hispanic accent.
And she was like
Debbie.
the
Wasn't
whitest
Debbie
She was
Hispanic?
so
I don't
white.
think Debbie didn't have a Hispanic accent.
That's true. Our main lady did not
But
have that. She
I
wasn't
guess,
in that as much.
Well, the real risk would be probably the scenes with crushing the little head, or when they're blowing up and you see the chunks flying. People might not, they took a risk of I guess that type of action, and people like, ew, I don't want to see this.
Yeah, that's definitely like an action scene you wouldn't see in a mainstream R-rated movie. Like you wouldn't see that in Terminator 2.
Yeah,
that would never make the cut.
But this is also Full Moon Entertainment, right? So I think people would know what they're getting into a little bit.
Yeah, but in a way, that's the kind of risk that a B movie can take.
Yeah,
that, like I think about the scene from RoboCop where the ED 209 is like blowing that guy away in the boardroom, and like that is ridiculously gory, and that's still not even a fraction of how gory some of the scenes in this movie are.
Like you said earlier, smoking heads, smoking cigarettes. Why aren't you dead?
Yeah, that guy's just like an upper torso.
Like, how are you alive right now?
Just like a pile of guts.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I was going to say, a pretty major risk is to have an action movie where the action star can't be seen in the same shot as any other actor in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's totally a risk.
That's a huge technical hurdle. And for the most part, they did a good job of like conveying that he was in the same scene as other people, even though he couldn't physically be.
Totally.
Like everything was shot like high angle to make him look smaller. And like they would occasionally cut to, just shots of him behind like a brick wall or whatever. And it was obvious what they were doing, but it worked. You got the sense that he was in a shootout with these.
He did a good job of like exaggerating it too, to
Yes.
make it seem like when he had to climb stuff, he really like
had to try.
hammed it up.
What do you got?
Oh, I was just gonna say it kind of is the same as what you just said, but a risk would be making the main character be extremely tiny, because he doesn't have to be extremely tiny. This movie would have worked perfectly fine if he was a normal-sized alien.
But then you wouldn't be able to call it Dollman.
It's true.
Right. We could move on to favorite parts then, yes?
Excellent.
All right, good, because this is where the beat of this movie is going to come out, I think, really. Eric, let's start with you.
All right. This is a very small detail, but at the very beginning of the movie, when the escaped criminal is taking hostages at the laundromat, the cyber police, which is what I'm going to call them, the cyber police show up and they're going to try to coax him out. And these police have helmets that have police written on their helmets like in a sticker, but it's written in a digital font. So
like an alarm clock?
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be a screen.
Yes.
But it's not.
Like they have a police screen on their foreheads and they couldn't afford that in the budget and they were just print it out and just slap it on there.
That's great.
I really appreciated that.
Oh, that's funny. I don't even know if I noticed that.
I definitely didn't notice that.
Brian, what about you? What do you got for a favorite part?
It's tough to say. I liked a lot of the parts. The gun was one of my favorite parts. Maybe I should organize my notes a little bit better in this.
A bit of trivia on that gun, too. I think that's the same gun that Charles Bronson uses in Death Wish 3. And I think it has the same destructive power in that movie, too.
Oh, nice. I've never seen Death Wish 3, and I always wanted to.
I've never seen any of them.
Yeah.
You have a
never
beef with
want
Charles
to.
Bronson.
What else we have beefs with, guys, now that we're all talking about beef?
Beef.
No, I'm just kidding. We're on favorite parts.
When Jackie Earl Haley finally gets sick of that little alien's shit and he just squishes him. He's like, you work for me now. You follow my rules. And he's a fucking 2-inch head attached to a little robot. He just gets squashed. I love it. Because he was disgusting and his fucking caramel teeth were so gross. Oh, I hate him.
Like 2 apple slices with caramel for teeth.
We got to throw a gif up of him because he's just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah,
when he
he's
gets
gross.
When he gets crushed, he looks like a peanut butter and banana sandwich just smushed into the floor, and it's like foaming.
Yeah, the foam was like the extra gross part about that for me. I was like, ew, he foams.
Also, when Jackie Earl Haley's character is stealing Debi from the house, he's like kidnapping her and trying to take her hostage, and what's her son's name? Kevin.
Kevin. Yeah.
Kevin calls for Dollman. He's like, help, help. And Dollman flies out the window. But when it cuts to outside, it just looks like somebody just literally threw a doll through a glass window.
Well, that part was great because there was like 4 or 5 really quick cuts of him like soaring through the air, breaking through the window, falling out as a doll, and then flying in the sky as a real man, just like boom, 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 boom. It was,
and then hanging onto the side of the car.
Oh, yes.
As both a doll and a real man.
I would say one of my favorite parts is how they actually used an actual little doll, sometimes like an actual doll as Dollman with his little legs, and he's hanging onto cars, and he's just and I love that. Oh, man.
Oh, it was so campy and
Oh,
like cheesy, but fantastic.
Oh, so good.
This movie had some great lines. Like Brick Bardo had some great one-liners.
Oh, totally.
Urban fucking renewal was a great one.
That was so good.
Also, his final line to Braxton. Was that his final line? Or was that just before he shoots him?
Is it
why
the
don't you
fucking
pick
puke
on
line?
someone your own size?
That is your fucking
Yeah,
puke.
fucking puke.
Oh, so wait, he said that line, and then
Anyone being called a puke is an A++ in my book.
after that, he said, "You sack of pus." Like he literally went from one line to the next.
I just remember my favorite part. It took me a while, but I thought, fuck a motherfucker. When that guy was pretty funny.
He just kept swearing.
The other guy, which is funny because one of the scenes I thought was a waste when Jackie Earl Haley was one of his henchmen in the car, and he's like, "I thought that little dude fixed you," and because that was kind of weird because you hailed and he started to die again.
Yeah. I
But,
figured it just wore off.
but
I assume
that
Sprug
guy-
kind of did a half-assed job to keep him under his thumb.
Right, that guy in the car, and then you saw when Tim Thomerson, Dollman, goes and shoots up the place. That guy, when he's shooting, he backs away, he disappears, and he ends up dying. And at the end of the movie, he's about to kill Braxton. This guy, comes out of nowhere and starts shooting him. He got mud all over his face, and he's a big disgrace. And,
Slinging those guns all over this place.
it was, and then he couldn't aim as well, and he shot him away and blew him away. But I just thought, I honestly didn't remember how the guy died in the first place because I guess I wasn't paying attention. And then I see this guy,
That's him at the
my
end
God.
trying to save
you
the
see
day.
his shirt's all battered or whatever. I don't know what his name was. He was one of the henchmen though on the radio.
Henchman 6.
Call him TJ because he looks like my cousin TJ.
Right, another favorite part is when Dollman don't need to use his hands for the walkie-talkie. He puts his foot on it.
It's a nice little touch.
Yeah, I like that. So ratings. So let's rate it then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
Yeah,
fuck
I'm gonna
you.
have to give it an unfortunate fuck off.
Oh my god, my fucking
Fuck
father.
you.
Fuck you.
A fucking fine.
Fuck yeah!
Are you familiar with the rating system?
A little bit.
A little bit. So let's
I
do
know
a,
there's a fuck yeah.
let's do a quick refresher.
Yeah, do that for me.
Numero uno: best movie you ever watched gets a fuck yeah. Middle of the road movie gets a fuck off, and a very terrible movie gets a fuck you. As long as you frame it in the form of a fuck,
Frame it.
as long as it's framed in a fuck, then you can say it.
Yeah.
You can use it
right.
as your rating.
Give it a standard fuck frame.
Volunteer today.
Fuck yes.
All right, a fuck yes from Eric. Why is that?
Well, I enjoyed this so much the first time we watched it, and I still really enjoyed it this time. I don't think it's quite on my level of fuck yeah, just because like watching it a second time without the excitement of being like, what the fuck is this movie? I felt like I started to see some of the gaps. There's like a lot of just filler.
Yeah.
Not that it makes this movie feel long, because this movie is a tight 73 minutes. It doesn't waste a lot of time, and it does a pretty good job of like spacing out the padding, so I can't complain about that too much. And the parts where it's great are fucking fantastic. I look forward to watching this today, and I think I'm going to look forward to watching it next time we decide to put it in.
Nice. Who else wants to volunteer to rate? Anyone?
All right.
All right, Brittany.
I will give this movie a fuck yeah, you little puke.
Nice.
It's just really fun. It goes by really fast. It's unabashedly entertaining.
It just wants to entertain.
Yeah, it really will go to great and unlikely lengths to entertain you, and I just really appreciate it.
I totally agree with that.
I would recommend it for someone who wants to laugh.
Brian, you want to rate?
Well, I kind of got two ratings.
All right, well, let's hear them both.
The action's a fuck yeah. I think.
All right.
When you want to watch an action flick and you late at midnight, this is your fix. It has explosions and it has people dying and
Sounds like
right?
fun,
It's
man.
Like we're gonna watch an action film. This okay, I'm satisfied with this. The action is for that type of movie. Action is great, so I give that a fuck yeah.
Scratches
for a
it.
1991 film, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Scratches that itch.
My other rating for the whole film is fucking works.
All right.
I like it.
Right? I've seen a lot of terrible movies and action flicks. You're like, all right, this is gonna be all right. But this movie, it's not. Obviously the plot's terrible, I think, but overall, it's not a terrible film. It's like I've seen worse films. This is pleasant. for an action flick. I mean, you don't say, "Oh, I want to see unicorns and fluffy stuff. I'm gonna watch Dollman." No, obviously not. You're in the mood to see an action, and it delivers for me, and I'm not disappointed when all right, I'm see action flick about a Dollman. All right, it fucking works.
Oh man, that's one of the best fucking ratings we've had.
On the spot ratings.
I adore the description of Dollman as pleasant.
Yes, totally agree.
I want to change my answer to fucking pleasant.
Tommy, what do you give this movie?
I will give it a tons of fucking fun.
Right,
It was
definitely.
such a good time. It's just, I laugh, and it's cool enough and gross enough, and just scratches the itch. I would totally recommend this movie to someone who is looking to scratch that action itch.
I think it made it even better because we sat through an hour and a half of the most intolerable bullshit probably ever put on film, and then we popped this gem in, not expecting anything, and it was just so perfect.
Salvage the day, just like the Christmas tree.
I get to see Tim Thompson talking to you, Tom.
Why?
When you said the action itch,
Oh, yeah.
that's right, you fucking bitch.
Is that what you heard?
That's what Tim Thompson would say.
Oh, I know. I wish he was
Dollman?
here. Yeah.
Even when he's being nice to you, he's an asshole.
Yeah, that's kind of why we all liked him a lot.
Like curmudgeon old man.
Is there any final thoughts, guys? Do we have anything we want to get off our chest before we wrap ourselves up here?
Did I tell you to tell everyone we had a spaceman in the house? That's a line from this movie.
Oh, I loved at the beginning how they were like, oh my god, that hostage situation earlier left 3.6 children dead.
I know.
I was like, what?
I forgot about that.
Excuse me?
All right, so if we don't have any more final thoughts, you have been listening to Second Class Cinema. We watched 1991's Dollman, full moon entertainment action movie. It was a lot of fun. We all admitted we'd all recommend it. If you'd like more information on Second Class Cinema, come to our Facebook page, facebook.com/secondclasscinema. You can email us, secondclasscinema@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at 2ND Class Podcast, the number 2ND Class Podcast.
Second Class Podcast.
Exactly, Second Class Podcast.
Talk to us.
Yeah, reach out to us, recommend movies to us, peruse our gift catalog on Podbean. We have tons of cool stuff up there. We're on Imgur as well, YouTube, and anywhere else. Thank you, Brian Party, for coming on again.
It was a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for coming through, and we'll definitely like to have you come on again sometime.
Oh, definitely. Definitely like taking notes.
Yeah,
I take notes. I don't know what was going on.
right? They help guide you.
They do. They definitely do. When we watched the last movie, I had no clue.
Well, yeah, none of it. Well, the last was Home Sweet Home, and
it was tough.
It was off-site viewing. We came back here to talk about it, and it was tough to recall.
All you had to write down was it was bad. And I learned how to carve a roast.
It was a rough first experience.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you want to listen to Brian's other episode, check it out on YouTube.
We didn't have enough microphones.
Yeah, we only had.
Everything was working against us that night.
Mark.
I had to mean Gene it for Brian.
Keep
It was
squeaking
awesome.
in it. Yeah, it was a good time anyway. So
But yeah, everyone, please talk to us.
So yeah, reach out to us, and good night.
Tell us what to watch.
I use hot water for my whites, a cold wash and a warm rinse